Were Giannis and Chris able to practice?
Yeah, everybody practiced today. I think it might have been our first. We didn't do a lot. We did do a lot of mental stuff, a lot of teaching. So, that kind of, it makes practice a little convoluted when you do that. But we just felt like we showed a lot of film from our last 3 games and combined everything and then tried to work our way through that.
You had mentioned the other night about, like in the backcourt, just getting over screens and sort of that slippage maybe in defense.
Yeah.
With a veteran team, is it just reminding?
Yeah, well, we also haven't done it a lot, in the past. So it's not only just reminding, it's muscle memory and it's habit. And so we worked on that today. That's what we did do live is, fighting over screens, talking on defense, being more physical. You don't like doing a lot of live stuff, but that's just the only way you can work on that is live. And so we've told our guys, a couple of weeks ago that, we have to work on it. We have to work on it.
Doing a lot more mental stuff. Why was it that approach today, and how often?
Well, we don't have a lot of those, but it just was needed. We've had a lot of games. We haven't had a chance to work on some things, and there are things from the Boston game. There's things from whoever we played before Boston. There's things from the game the other night that we needed them to see that we needed to improve on.
When you're trying to figure out if you're switching or trying to get over screens, how do you find that balance? 'Cause I know when you first came in, switching was a way that you guys kind of...
Yeah, just personnel driven for the most part, that's what's different with this team. I've had teams where you don't have to switch anything, or trap anything. Those are your fortunate teams. Like, those teams are just elite defensive teams, without having a scheme. But this team's not like that, so you have to do different stuff.
When you had mentioned the other night that you felt like your team was getting a little bit away from defense, in what ways would you say?
What we were talking about, just being more physical, getting over the screens. It's funny that the fan will look at a pick and roll and see the guard go downhill and blame the big. And the coach looks at the same pick and roll and blames the guard for not getting over the pick and roll and not being more physical. That's what leads to everything is the point of the screen. And we were great, and we've kind of gone back on that, so we have to pick that back up.
Are there some mental notes that you shared with the guys in regards to that?
It's just habit, You don't do it every day. You're not used to doing it. You're going to always go back to neutral. It's the way I always think of it. And our job is to remind them that's not how we can play.
Brook eats a lot of that. Like, he's the one that has to watch floaters go up over the top of him.
Yeah.
How have you seen him deal with just being that guy that kind of has that weight on his shoulder?
Yeah, he's been great, And Brook's so nice. He will never say, "Get over the screen." That's our job right now. So, but Brook does a great job of faking it, going back and forth. And, on the nights where we bring him up, he actually needs the guy to get over the screens even more because that allows him to get back quicker, What a smart guard, veteran guard will do is let Brook do all the work and just lay on the screen. And then we're hurt on the back end. And it doesn't look like those two are the culprit, but they are, but it's usually the guard.
When Chris came back, you had talked about finally installing some 3-man, and it may look a little funky, and then Giannis misses games, Chris misses the back.
Yeah.
So it's been a little bit since that point. Was there a little more kind of that 3-man work, and what are you looking for?
We actually didn't get a lot in today, honestly. We wanted to. It was actually in our game plan. But some of the stuff just took too long, and, we had to call an audible. So, that's what we mean. Like, you have plans for practice, and a lot of it was our V-out action. It's all 3-man. We literally didn't even get to it. So we're going to run it tomorrow and see how it goes. That's just the dilemma you're in when you've had stuff like this.
So and you had said this, like it may not go well or may look bad, frankly. So what in a situation like that, what do you want to see? Do you want to see the process look sharp?
Yeah, I don't want to see robotic play. And it's funny today, and we do it. Players do it all the time. We run this action where there's more reads, and then you can hear the guys, okay, on this time, and right when they did that, everybody was a robot. And I said, okay, no more talking, all right? Just do it and read it and do it and read it and see it. No talking. And then all of a sudden we were flying around the floor. It was amazing the difference. And they saw that, which was kind of a breakthrough, you know. We get too smart sometimes, coaches and players. And so sometimes we should just rely on our instincts.
When you say too smart, you mean like overthinking?
Yeah, overthinking. Yeah.
Is it a problem that they're so talented offensively, like those big three, like with Chris and Dame and Giannis, it comes pretty easy?
Yeah, it's always been a challenge with the more talented offensive players to see the other actions. That's universal because they come off the first one and, oh, this is good. I can score on him, but it may be hard. And against certain teams, when they take that away, what do? You know, but that's the challenge to get them. Like if we ran skeleton with them and what they really think, every time one came off the pick, he would shoot it, you know, because they actually probably could, you know. And so you have to just get them to see, what if they take that away? Where do we go? What do we do? And that's more preparation, not for tomorrow. That's preparation for later.
Looking at the Thunder, speaking of tomorrow, as far as that they push the pace, they're fast, they're young. How do you feel entering that game about you guys and like you controlling it?
Well, we're not fast and we're not young, so is that our advantage or disadvantage? We'll find that out tomorrow. You can look at that either way. That could be good for us or bad for us. But they play right, you know, which is rare for a young team. I mean, obviously, they're well coached. They're well schooled. It seems like they have an amazing culture, and the fact that it's a young team that plays like they're over themselves already, and that's rare. Most young teams are fighting to see who's the man and then who's the next guy. This team, maybe, you know, it's funny, college coaches will tell you it's great when you have a separator. Maybe Shea just separated himself so quickly that everyone else had to fall in line. That may have happened, but I do think that's more coaching, and they're a really well-coached team.
And then also tomorrow, it's our annual Women's Empowerment Night. Can you just talk to us about how important it is for the organization to empower girls and women in sports?
Yeah, I just think women in sports is important in society. I really do. There's so many stats behind that. This is not me just talking. You know, Fortune 500 companies are run by a lot of women who were in sports. Actually, the majority of those women were in sports in some way. And so all that is just really important. Not just as a player, I'm saying as a student manager, as a reporter, it's just really important. The self-confidence. I mean, all those stats say that when you're involved in sports and you're a woman, there's less abuse, there's less everything. So it's good that we're doing that. It's good that the league is doing that. You know, it reminds me a lot of, you know, when I first started coaching, a black young coach, and now they just say a young coach. Hopefully someday we get to that point. I feel like we're a ways away, but we're getting better, and we just got to keep getting better.
Can I ask you a big picture question? You know, before you got here, the Bucks were wild. They could win by 30 or lose by 30. They were setting records either in a good way or in a bad way. And listening to you talk now, kind of this authoritative, is consistency kind of a myth, or have you been striving to try to find a more level?
Yeah, you gotta. It's you have to. It's more. Consistency has to start with habits. You know, if you do the same thing every night, the games don't fluctuate as much. You know, obviously we've had some games where we got blown out on the road on this West Coast trip, but overall we've been in every game. We've come back in every game, no matter who's playing, is another thing. And that's, to me, when you start getting consistency is when you can win when guys are out, because your team doesn't change. They keep playing the same way. And we're starting to show that. That's important.
But what about your presence? I mean, when you tell guys stop talking, you know, do you have their full attention? Like,
yeah, I hope so. I mean, we have our kids' full attention? No. So, you know, except for the difference is, you know, we pay them now, so they have to pay a little more attention. I always felt like Austin paid far more attention to me when I was paying them than when I wasn't. So, you know, there's times where you stop and let them talk. That's as strong as telling them to stop talking. You know, I did that this morning. Everybody was talking about the NCAA games and film, and everybody was joking around. I just sat and then all of a sudden the room got quiet. You know, and then there's times you got to say, stop, you know. So it's just feel. Some days it works. Some days they don't hear you. Yeah.